Welcome back. This is part of the ongoing series of discussions on various topics that one has got experience on. So, today I want to talk about religion. So, there are many issues about religion, but since we just crossed Janmashtami yesterday, I want to say something about true religion as Krishna mentions it, and later on we will see what people like Buddha, Shankaracharya, Vivekananda, etc. have said. So, in Hinduism is the most ancient religion in the world, and for many right reasons, it is one of the most admired religions in the world, not only within India but around the world. Many Nobel laureates, including three famous physicists, Nobel laureates, have been admirers of Vedanta and the Upanishads. And we recently saw that famous film Oppenheimer, which shows how much he was influenced by the Bhagavad Gita. On the other hand, we also have many critics of Hinduism. And without getting defensive, we need not dismiss all their criticisms as bad. There is some truth to those criticisms as well. So, today I want to focus only on one issue, which is the big debate, ongoing debate down the centuries in Hinduism between the spiritual and the ritual. By spiritual, we mean, things like the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and Advaita, Vishishtadvaita, etc., which is basically a seeking of our inner self, seeking of God in its ultimate aspect. We call it moksha, nirvana, leading a spiritual life, etc., etc. And by the ritual, we mean all the rituals, rich rituals that we see in Hinduism. Mondays is for Shiva, Fridays for Lakshmi, and so on. And Ekadashi. And there are hundreds of festivals and rituals and shlokas and pujas, and also things like the Kumbh Mela. So many things are there. So they are under the ritualistic aspect. Now, what does Hinduism itself have to say? There are many people with different views on these things, but what does Hinduism have to say on these two aspects? Today being 2 days after Janmashtami, I thought I would reflect on that. So, the first reference we see about ritualism in Hinduism is actually in the Bhagavad Gita. So, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells us, "O Arjuna, those people of inferior intellect who are tied down to sensual pleasures and enjoyment, they follow the Vedic rituals and karmas with a desire for reward, enjoyment, and merit and punya and going to heaven." So mark the words. He says, those who are of inferior intellect and poor understanding and seeking worldly enjoyments, they follow the Vedic rituals. It's there in the Bhagavad Gita. Then Krishna goes on to say, but those with a clear understanding, they follow my teachings, which is the spiritual teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, and they reach me. The idea being that you can go to heaven, but you have to be born again. And heaven is only a greater form of worldly enjoyment. Health, wealth, pleasure, whatever. All the things that we all look forward to. But a man of deeper understanding, he follows the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, which leads to moksha or liberation and freedom from rebirth. So this is the first time we see in Hinduism the debate between spiritual and ritual. And who is saying it? Krishna, who is considered in the Puranas as Lord Krishna, the Purna Avatar. The Bhagavad says that Krishna is not merely an avatar, Krishna is the Lord himself, is the Parabrahma himself. All the other manifestations are avatars, but Krishna is not an avatar, he is God himself. Such a Krishna is telling us about spiritual versus ritual. And he is clearly saying, please raise your understanding and follow the spiritual. Obviously, there must have been people attracted to many rituals at that time, and seeing that only Krishna is telling us this in the Bhagavad Gita. Then you move a few centuries later, you come to Gautam Buddha, the Buddha. What does the Buddha see? The Buddha sees that people are again following rituals, Vedic rituals. In those days, animals used to be sacrificed during the Vedic rituals. There is a famous incident in one of the places, they are going to sacrifice a goat. And the Buddha goes up and he asks, why are you sacrificing this goat? And he says, well, for religious merit, punya. Then he says, how much more punya you will get if you sacrifice me? And besides, the goat is not willing, I am willing, so why don't you sacrifice me? So everybody was stunned, everybody was quiet, they didn't know what to say. So the Buddha also emphasized a spiritual path. Do good, be good, control your senses, be calm, be patient, be forgiving, be all loving, be compassionate. He kept on using the word metta and karuna, kindness and compassion, kindness and compassion. So the Buddha was emphasizing the spiritual aspect of religion, and more or less he negated the ritual aspect. Now you come to another great giant of Hinduism, that is Adi Shankaracharya. So he came in the 8th century. What does he see? There are lots of historians saying many things, but you read the texts of Shankaracharya, he is not criticizing Buddhism anywhere. He doesn't even criticize the Buddha anywhere. But there is this ongoing debate right from ancient times between the Karma Kanda and the Gnana Kanda. What is this Karma Kanda and the Gnana Kanda? The Karma Kanda are the first two sections of the Vedas, which are the Veda Samhitas and the Brahmanas. So Karma Kanda is in the Vedic karmas, the Vedic homas, the Vedic yagnas. There are so many Vedic rituals. So there were one set of people who believed in the Karma Kanda. And they said, this is what the Veda is telling us, all these rituals, etc. And there was another set of people who believed in the Gnana Kanda, which is the Aranyakas and the Upanishads, the latter two part of the Vedas. And what does the Gnana Kanda tell us? Seek the truth, seek the Supreme Brahman, find out what this Atman, this Purusha is. That will give you bliss, joy, you will go beyond all sorrow, and if you so want, you will be liberated, you won't have to be born again. This is the spiritual essence of the Upanishads. To give you a phrase, it says, for example, in the Veda itself it says, forget about the Upanishad, in the Purusha Suktam itself it says, in the Rig Veda, Vedahametam Purushamahantam Aditya Varnam Tamasa Parastat. It says that sage is pouring out this wonderful poem. It says, Vedahametam, I have seen, I have known. Veda means to know. I have known, Vedahametam Purusha Mahantam. I have known that Supreme Purusha, Aditya Varnam, brilliant like the sun, Tamasa Parastat, beyond all darkness. The sage has got a revelation and is saying that I have known that Supreme Purusha, brilliant like the sun, beyond all darkness. This is the spiritual aspect of Hinduism, different from the Karma Kanda. So there were another set of people who were in favor of the Jnanakanda, and this debate was going on. Now, by the time Shankaracharya came, it was in the 8th century, Buddhism had reached its peak and was on a decline. Buddhism was a major religion in India after Gautam Buddha came in around the 6th century BC. And by 1200 years, 1500 years later, it was in decline. Now, what happened when it was in decline? Again, the ritualists came up and they started their rituals and homas and yagnas and fire worship and Vedic chants and all these things. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm not criticizing it. I'm just mentioning as a historical fact. And it was going too far. Just like Krishna and Buddha criticized overemphasis on rituals, Shankaracharya also found. So then he started expounding the Advaita philosophy. And by the way, it is the Advaita philosophy which makes Hinduism today so famous around the world. So I'll give you an example of 3 Nobel laureates who love Advaita and the Upanishads. One was Erwin Schrödinger, who got a Nobel Prize in physics and who is known as the father of quantum mechanics. He put an Upanishadic shloka in his epitaph. He said, "Put this on my grave." Then Niels Bohr, another Nobel Prize winning physicist, and the great Werner Heisenberg, who was talking about the uncertainty principle. What did they all say? They said all these things, is light a particle or a wave, the duality of this, and what is this quantum mechanics, all this does not make sense unless you understand Vedanta. Once you understand Vedanta, it makes sense. That is what they are saying. I am not saying this. So Shankaracharya was establishing this very grand and deep philosophy, and he definitely went against the karmic rituals. He went against it. So in ancient history, we have 3 people: Krishna, Buddha, and Shankaracharya, who are saying that don't overemphasize all these rituals. Now, let me try to put this in perspective. This is not to say that rituals are bad. It is only saying that if we are lost in them, we don't understand the deeper significance of rituals. And then rituals for what purpose? Oh Lord, I am under a lot of stress. Give me a good job. May my daughter get married. Somebody in my family is not well. May his health or her health be improved. My wife and my mother do not get along. May there be peace at home. All these kind of things we go to God and pray for. Or may my business do well. May I make a lot of money. May I get a promotion. May I not get transferred. And that boss is harassing me. May he or she stop harassing me. Or may something happen so that this problem is solved. All these things we have got. So these are people in distress who are praying to God, and as an aid to praying to God, we follow various rituals. And the number of rituals is increasing. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying that it is bad. But we should not limit ourselves only to rituals. And this is not what I'm saying. This is what Krishna, Buddha, and Shankaracharya have said. Now, coming to modern times, what does Vivekananda say? Vivekananda made Hinduism very famous all over the world. He says our religion has gone into the cooking pot. What to cook, how to cook, don't touch this, don't touchism. And he says that this is not religion. Religion is again same spiritual principles. So he said, I preached the spiritual principles, largely based on Vedanta in the West. So today, on this 2 days after the sacred Janmashtami, no doubt we should respect all rituals and all gods in Hinduism, but we should also look at the deeper meaning of what these rituals are. And if you see the glory periods of India, they've always been when the spiritual aspect dominated. The rise of the Bhagavad Gita, the rise of Buddhism, the rise of Advaita, that is when the spiritual dominated the ritual. That is when India became great. So, as more and more people ponder this and understand this, we will throw up more and more Shankaracharyas and Vivekanandas, hopefully, and India will rise to even greater heights. So, thank you. Now, this is what I wanted to say today. Namaste.